The vast sea below shimmered, revealing the appearance of the land of demonic spirits, as though everything before him existed in a space between illusion and reality. Watching indifferently as the three of them came charging forward in madness, Wang Lin raised his right hand and waved it forward, calmly uttering a single phrase. Remnant Night. The moment those two words escaped Wang Lin's mouth, the heavens and earth suddenly rumbled. The blazing sun rose from the sea, shooting straight into the sky. A power that tore apart the night exploded without restraint, transforming into endless rays of sunlight that swept outward in all directions. The primordial law followed suit, filling the heavens and earth. The sea sun birthed the remnant night. The rapidly approaching figure in purple, after merging into countless afterimages, collided head-on with the power unleashed by remnant night just as it neared. Under the scorching heat of endless sunlight, everything that stood in its way was torn apart like the Black Night, without exception. The figure in purple immediately screamed in unimaginable pain as his arms disintegrated into a mist of blood. Then, his legs and most of his body followed suit, breaking apart in an instant. The figure in blue collapsed with a thunderous crash. As his body shattered, countless afterimages burst from within, still charging toward Wang Lin under the blazing sun, but they melted like snowflakes under the sunlight, vanishing without a trace. The massive hand formed from the body of the one in yellow crashed toward him, as though the sunlight could not penetrate it, yet it charged directly for Wang Lin. His expression remained unchanged, a cold smile curling at the corner of his lips. He allowed the hand to land on the illusory blazing sun that surrounded him. However, the moment that hand grasped the blazing sun, a scream erupted from within the hand. The first sun's flames, capable of incinerating all things, swept through the hand and engulfed it. The hand trembled, and in just a moment, it exploded, devolving back into the figure in yellow. It seemed as though the figure in yellow was trying to embrace the blazing sun, but within a few breaths, his body erupted into a sea of fire, leaving only debris behind. The gray-robed Tian Yunzi desperately unleashed a crimson blood sword, which suddenly surged forward, breaking through all the incoming sunlight, heading straight for the blazing sun. In the blink of an eye, it pierced into the sun. In that moment, a murderous aura erupted from the sword, clashing violently with the high temperature and endless sunlight within the blazing sun. Gray-robed Tian Yunzi roared in fury as his right eye exploded with a loud bang. As his right eye shattered, the power of the blood sword surged several times over. The flames surrounding it were instantly forced back, and even the sunlight seemed to shatter. The blood sword struck, tearing apart most of the blazing sun, only a mere yard away from Wang Lin. With a furious roar, Tian Yunzi's remaining left eye also exploded, blood streaming from his shattered gaze. The power in his attack grew even stronger. The blood sword surged once more, directly piercing through the blazing sun, heading straight for Wang Lin. As the gray-robed Tian Yunzi made his desperate strike, the shredded Black Night began to reform, wrapping around the surroundings, as though it were about to devour the blazing sun. The blood sword, with its overwhelming power, crashed into the blazing sun and directly pierced through Wang Lin's chest. But as it penetrated halfway, Wang Lin's hands gripped it tightly, his body stumbling backward, blood spilling from his mouth. He suddenly raised his head, his expression twisted in a snarl. "Old fool, you nearly killed me with the murderous aura back then, and today, you're going to die." With a roar, Wang Lin's body exploded in a burst of light, the blazing sun erupting around him. Everything within a radius was swept away in the chaos. This was the self-detonation of the blazing sun, its power unimaginable. As the shockwaves roared, the sky seemed to tear apart, rolling back in a reverse wave. The sea waters rose with a howling roar, the ground collapsed entirely. The force of the world itself reached an unimaginable level in the explosion of the blazing sun. Gray-robed Tian Yunzi, caught in the explosion, barely had time to cross his hands in front of him, huddling like a baby. The next moment, he was swept up in the terrifying force. Boom, boom, boom. The remnants of the Black Night that had started to reform shattered in an instant. The heavens and the earth became a chaotic mess, consumed by the exploding sun. In the span of a breath, the heavens and the earth were reduced to nothingness. The sea disappeared, the sun vanished, and even the cracks in the sky vanished without a trace. What remained was the land of demonic spirits. It was as if everything that had occurred before was but an illusion. The sky now remained a crimson expanse, a sea of fire spreading, and the cry of the vermilion bird echoed from the firestorm, growing ever closer. Yet, the stunned gazes of those on the ground were enough to prove that everything that had just transpired was real. The gray-clad Tian Yunzi's body continued to dissipate, eventually leaving only a trace of lingering consciousness, which, in a flash, returned to the true body of Tian Yunzi. With a single strike of Remnant Knight, 3 people were killed. These 3 were no ordinary individuals. They were the avatars of Void Master and Tian Yunzi. Even the gray-clad figure had suffered severe injuries and was left with nothing but remnants. Ling Tianho's body trembled. Previously, he only harbored fear and caution toward Wang Lin. Even the massive palm imprint, though terrifying, didn't compare to the dread he now felt. He never imagined that Wang Lin's divine abilities could be this powerful. What level of cultivation is he at? This divine ability. I've never heard of anything like it. Tian Yunzi's face turned pale, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. He staggered back a few steps before stabilizing his body. With a fierce gaze, he stared directly at Wang Lin. The destruction of 2 of his 3 avatars, with even the gray-clad figure reduced to nothing but remnants, was an unprecedented blow to him in countless years. It left him severely wounded. However, the damage to his body and primordial spirit was insignificant compared to the calculations of Tian Yunzi. At this moment, his confidence had been severely shaken by Wang Lin's repeated mistakes in combat. Unnoticed by anyone, his body trembled slightly. He was trembling from the power of that divine ability. Tian Yunzi immediately recognized the divine ability. It was the beginning of all the rules in the world, the primordial law. This was not something that cultivators could control, and its power was unimaginable in its vastness. To destroy 3 of my avatars. Wang Lin, the greatest mistake of my life was taking you as my disciple and giving you the opportunity to leave Vermilion Bird Star. Tian Yunzi almost ground his teeth in rage. He took several deep breaths to suppress the shock in his heart, forcing himself to calm down. It wasn't just him. Situ Nan, Datu, Floating Wind Master, and others were equally stunned. Floating Wind Master, having experienced the Remnant Knight technique himself in the past, felt a chill run down his spine as he recalled the terrifying power. Even Wang Wei and Huan gasped. They exchanged glances, seeing the shock and horror in each other's eyes. The scene they had just witnessed had pulled them into the illusory realm as well, though they seemed to be separated, able to see but unable to intervene. But the ones even more shocked than them were the ancient demon Tagia and Flower Consort, who were suspended in the air with a sword aura rushing toward the sky. Flower Consort stared at Wang Lin with wide, stunned eyes, showing both nostalgia and fear. At this moment, she was certain that the man her husband had spoken of, the one with the Wang surname, was indeed Wang Lin. But what terrified her the most was the primordial law divine ability Wang Lin had just revealed. No one knew this law better than her. The immortal Emperor Qinglin had nearly died under its influence in the past. Within the sealed realms, it was known as the primordial law, but outside the realms, it was called the primordial force. After possessing another body, ancient demon Tagia had never been shaken, but in this moment, his heart trembled for the first time. He sensed a terrifying power within this divine ability that even he would fear. Though the power was still weak, over time, if it grew stronger, even he, the ancient demon, would be forced to retreat in panic. This is the power of the Palm Sovereign. Tajia's gaze toward Wang Lin shrank. He vaguely sensed that this person was the final trump card Qinglin had prepared before being possessed. At the same time, when Wang Lin's Remnant Knight divine ability faded, at the headquarters of the Cultivation Alliance, where the life tablets of important members were stored, one of the 3 purple jade tablets, placed on the highest level, suddenly shattered with a loud boom. Countless fragments scattered across the ground. In that instant, the sound of a bell echoed throughout the entire headquarters of the Cultivation Alliance. Some of the cultivators present looked up, gazing toward the location of the life tablets. Since the battle with Luo Tian, death had almost become a daily occurrence, but those who had died were not worthy of having their life tablets placed in the headquarters. As a result, the bell signifying loss had only sounded a few times. The most it had ever rung was 5 times. With the Cultivation Alliance's dominance, they cared nothing for morale. They would retaliate in this frenzied way. Anyone who had killed an important figure of the Cultivation Alliance would become an enemy of the entire alliance. The bell rang again. Once, twice, 3 times. When the 5th bell rang, a few cultivators within the headquarters raised their heads, looking toward the life tablets. But immediately, their expressions changed. The bell did not stop. It rang again, 6th, 7th, until the 8th. At this moment, all the cultivators in the headquarters, no matter what they were doing, stopped. Almost all of them raised their heads and stared toward the location of the life tablets. Dong! The 9th toll of the bell sounded, followed by the collective intake of breath from everyone. The next moment, a wave of horror surged through them. The middle-aged man who had been sitting cross-legged in the secret chamber suddenly raised his head. Grief and fury surged in his eyes. As his body trembled, a storm of wind and thunder erupted, the deafening rumble echoing through the entire headquarters. In a flash, he appeared at the repository of life tablets, his eyes fixed blankly on the shattered tablet of the Void Master. A thunderous roar erupted from his mouth, shaking the heavens and the earth. At the very instant the divine power of the Remnant Knight faded, and Wang Lin once again stepped onto the land of demonic spirits. Within his essence spirit, in the seal of the 18 hells that bound immortals, the once empty 18th layer at the very top was suddenly split apart by a force beyond imagination, lightning fast. Within it, 3 souls emerged. One was the soul of the Void Master, trapped in the first decay of heaven and man. The others were 2 split souls of Tian Yunzi, one clad in purple, the other in yellow. These 2 souls of Tian Yunzi began to fuse in a bizarre, unnatural way within that 18th layer. Though Wang Lin's face was pale, he stood tall and unyielding. At this moment, no one present dared to look down on him. Not a single one, no matter who they were. He had killed 3 in a row and left the 4th with only a lingering consciousness. Such divine power was not something ordinary cultivators could hope to wield. A twisted fierceness emerged from Wang Lin's pale face as his cold gaze swept over Tian Yunzi and the remaining avatars. The blood sword was still embedded in his chest, stuck deep in his flesh. Blood streamed from the wound, soaking his robes scarlet. Tian Yunzi's 3 avatars had fought with their lives on the line. Wang Lin had fought with everything he had, and more. If he hadn't, he would be dead. Though the power of the Remnant Knight didn't deplete primordial energy at dawn, his opponent this time was simply too strong. As a result, even though his energy was untouched, his essence spirit was deeply drained. Yet in this moment, the force in Wang Lin's words made even Tian Yunzi fall silent. The surroundings were utterly still, but in that silence, a piercing cry of the vermilion bird rang out from above the sky, even louder than before. As the vermilion bird's cry grew closer, the totem on Wang Lin's body suddenly began to tremble uncontrollably. Without his command, it materialized from his body and soared into the air. The white vermilion bird raised its proud head and cried out toward the flames in the sky. Its cry intertwined with the echoing call from above, forming a rising and falling harmony that filled the heavens and earth. Within the cry of Wang Lin's vermilion bird was a clear note of joy. The white vermilion bird circled Wang Lin, screeching wildly. As it did, the broken sky of the land of demonic spirits churned violently, unleashing a denser sea of fire that billowed upward, replacing the heavens themselves. Then, amid the vermilion bird's cry, a massive head suddenly emerged from the sea of fire, a colossal vermilion bird head. It was so immense that it seemed to fill half the sky. Flames poured off its body, as though ready to dry the earth beneath. The moment this enormous head appeared, an indescribable pressure fell upon the land. Floating Wind Master and the others snapped out of their stunned silence, gasping sharply. Situ Nan's eyes widened in disbelief. Even Ling Tianho narrowed his eyes in alarm. Tian Yunzi's expression darkened further, a hint of bitterness flashing across his face. The vermilion bird's razor-sharp eyes swept the land below, finally settling on Wang Lin. It opened its mouth and let out another piercing cry. With that, the immense bird burst from the sea of fire. As more of its body emerged, the flaming sky churned and coiled, rapidly pulling inward. In mere moments, the true spirit of the vermilion bird had completely risen from the sea of fire. The skybound flames curled around its body, becoming its feathers, while massive swathes of fire behind it transformed into several blazing phoenix tails. As it surged forth and revealed its full form, the crowd below finally understood. This boundless sea of fire was part of the vermilion bird itself. A collective gasp filled the air. The colossal vermilion bird shrieked as it swooped down, heading straight for Wang Lin. He frowned, but deep inside, a sense of clarity bloomed, a familiarity, a closeness, resonating from his natal vermilion bird. In an instant, the massive vermilion bird approached, seemingly about to merge with Wang Lin's brow. But just before contact, its form suddenly shifted. This mighty vermilion bird's spirit. A head of white hair fluttered, complementing the white vermilion bird on the crimson armor. A sharp glint appeared in Wang Lin's eyes. This sudden scene left him still uncertain. Yet the indescribable fiery power within him made Wang Lin feel a sense of pure nirvana cultivation. It seemed that, within this world, any fire power could be fully controlled by him whenever he desired. Like the primordial thunder dragon, wielding the power of fire over the world. In the sky, after the vermilion bird appeared, nearly 100 people walked out. The 6 individuals at the front exuded an immense aura of pressure, their white hair revealing an aura of cultivation strong enough to shake the heavens and the earth. Shattered nirvana. Behind these 6, members of the vermilion bird sacred sect, each radiated a dense firepower. The moment they appeared, all eyes immediately focused on Wang Lin. Among them, the 6 elders, upon seeing Wang Lin, showed expressions of excitement and shock. The excitement stemmed from their long journey to protect this awakened clan member at all costs. Now that they saw Wang Lin was safe, they all breathed a sigh of relief. However, the shock came from their own experience of being trapped in the illusion under the primordial law, feeling the terrifying divine art. How could they not be shocked? In this shock, there was also a trace of wariness. If they, who had such cultivation, felt this way, it was needless to say how the nearly 100 members of the vermilion bird sacred sect felt. Their gazes towards Wang Lin were filled with fervent reverence. They knew that, barring any accidents, this person before them would be their future sacred emperor. Protect the vermilion bird awakener. One of the elders, embroidered with 7 vermilion birds on his robe, suddenly shouted. As his voice rang out, the 6 of them immediately rushed to Wang Lin's side, and the nearly 100 vermilion bird sacred sect members behind them swiftly followed, surrounding everyone with murderous gazes. The primordial law of sun setting, remnant night, was powerful, but for Wang Lin, this first rule was still something he had just started to explore. Its overextended use led to severe consequences. This time, it was the unprecedented divine art. With the primordial law merging with the fire of the true spirit of the vermilion bird, and with Wang Lin's second awakening and desperate counterattack, it reached its peak. If Wang Lin tried to use it again, he wouldn't be able to replicate it. Even if he could, its power would likely pale in comparison to what it was now. His primordial spirit remained weak, and the blood sword formed by the desperate strike of the gray-robed Tian Yunzi still lingered within him. Though it was no longer visible outside his body, it felt as if it pierced his heart, even penetrating his primordial spirit, remaining within. Even his breathing sent stabbing pains through his chest, making his face grow paler. Such severe injuries, had Wang Lin not been an ancient god body with incredible regenerative power, would have instantly killed anyone else. But even with the regeneration of a 5-star ancient god, the injuries inside him could not heal. The blood sword that remained in his body was filled with a chilling murderous aura, a murderous aura that was not ordinary but the very essence of slaughter, the origin of all divine abilities. The agonizing pain did not cause Wang Lin to collapse. He gritted his teeth, not even letting out a single groan, instead looking beyond the vermilion bird sacred sect members in front of him, locking eyes with Tian Yunzi and the ancient demon Tajia ahead. The fire elemental energy within him failed to bring warmth. On the contrary, due to his weakened primordial spirit, an icy chill began to envelop his entire body. We are the first batch of guiding members from the Vermilion Bird Sacred Sect. Later, nearly the entire sect will come. We will ensure your absolute safety. The elder who had previously shouted immediately clasped his hands towards Wang Lin. The Vermilion Bird Sacred Sect. Wang Lin glanced at the elder, nodding. Just that single motion caused a sharp pain in his chest, but he once again held it in. No matter the Vermilion Bird Sacred Sect's true intentions, they had come here, and Wang Lin would remember this favor. However, surrounded by the Vermilion Bird Sacred Sect, Wang Lin still did not feel any safety. Not far away, in midair, ancient demon Tajia's sinister gaze swept over. The light emanating from his eyes was strange and eerie. The flower consort, Situ Nan, Wang Wei, Huan, and others quickly joined the Vermilion Bird Sacred Sect members, drawing a distinct line between them and Tajia and Tian Yunzi. What needed to come has almost arrived. Tajia licked his lips, his eyes glowing red as he stared at Wang Lin, surrounded by everyone. This man he was going to kill. Previously, the ancient demon had not paid much attention to Wang Lin. Even though Wang Lin possessed the ancient god body of the royal family, it was nothing compared to the ancient inheritance they sought in the ancient ruins. However, at this moment, the astonishing changes Wang Lin had gone through on his journey, as well as the divine ability that had just shaken his mind, made Tajia's attention to Wang Lin reach a certain height. Additionally, he vaguely sensed that Wang Lin's appearance seemed to be part of Qing Lin's calculations. As such, Tajia could not shake the feeling that unless Wang Lin was killed, there would always be an unsettling sense lingering in him. This feeling was mystical, yet it surged clearly within Tajia's thoughts. This Wang Lin has repeatedly disrupted my calculations, and now he has become an anomaly within the Immortal Emperor's cave. If he is killed, the anomaly is gone, and all of Qing Lin's calculations will be like a tree with no roots. Tian Yunzi's voice slowly echoed through the world, falling into Tajia's ears, which further solidified his resolve. With a bloodthirsty, mocking smile, Tajia roared skyward, stepping forward. The humanoid figure nearby moved in sync with the ancient demon, rushing forward swiftly. Tian Yunzi formed a hand seal, and immediately the remaining 6 avatars emerged from all directions, charging toward the group. As for himself, with a flick of his right hand in the void, his robes stirred as if moved by the wind. Black and white lights flickered on his body, shooting up to the sky. Above, the black and white lights intertwined and swirled, forming an eerie, chaotic phenomenon. Tian Yunzi's true body, with his left hand forming a seal, sat cross-legged on the ground, closing his eyes. His lips moved faintly, chanting something in a low voice that was difficult to hear clearly. But with his incantation, a voice, as if carrying the weight of the ages, emerged from the chaos. This voice was like a murmur, unclear and indistinct, but as it reached everyone's ears, it instilled a sense of panic in their hearts, as if they were facing a natural enemy. At the same time, a pressure descended with the voice, causing the earth beneath to rumble and crack. In an instant, the shaking of the ground peaked, with thunderous booms echoing through the heavens and earth, and countless cracks suddenly appeared. These cracks extended over 100 miles, connecting together as they spread. Within moments, the ground within a 100-mile radius shattered, and the land lifted with a thunderous roar, soaring into the sky like a massive pillar hundreds of miles wide, plunging directly into the swirling black and white chaos above. Wang Lin's face darkened. The ground still trembled slightly, and a black and white mist spread over 100 miles, shrouding the area, making vision and spiritual sense unable to penetrate. Ancient demon Tajia strode forward with immense speed, almost closing the distance in the blink of an eye. The 6 shattered Nirvana elders of the Vermilion Bird Sacred Sect looked solemn, rushing out at once. Each of them formed seals, and immediately, a sea of fire spread, sweeping forward. Tajia sneered and swung his thick-backed blade. The blade's light flared, and the roaring sea of fire instantly stalled, only to be violently sucked back, splitting in two. Tian Yunzi's avatars also closed in. Wang Wei and Huan gritted their teeth and charged forward, while Hua Fei sighed softly, rising to her feet to engage in the fight. Meanwhile, nearly 100 clansmen of the Vermilion Bird Sacred Sect, besides the 6 elders, sat cross-legged on the ground without anyone's command. Each of them formed seals, and firelight flickered above their heads. In an instant, the primordial spirits of these nearly 100 clansmen flew out. As their primordial spirits emerged, a scorching heat filled the air, and what was even more incredible to Datu and the others was that these primordial spirits quickly merged together after leaving their bodies. It is known that a cultivator's primordial spirit is the essence of their cultivation, and due to differing Taoist intentions, it is impossible for them to merge. Once merged, it represents devouring, and such fusion could not occur without an extraordinary artifact. However, right now, the primordial spirits of nearly 100 Vermilion Bird Sacred Sect clansmen were merging rapidly, and within moments, they formed a towering fire giant that was dozens of meters tall. Upon its appearance, the giant roared and charged straight toward ancient demon Tajia. Wang Lin's pupils contracted as he watched this scene, and his curiosity about the Vermilion Bird Sacred Sect grew. The 6 shattered Nirvana cultivators and the primordial spirits of nearly 100 clansmen formed a fire giant to battle against the ancient demon Tajia. On the other side, Wang Wei, Huan, and Hua Fei engaged Tian Yunzi's 6 avatars, while Fu Fengzi, Sidunan, and Datu, who had forcefully suppressed their poison outbreaks, assisted in the fight. The battle was intense, especially Hua Fei, who not only had to fight Tian Yunzi's avatar, but also face attacks from the humanoid figure. The earth shook with deafening booms as various divine abilities flashed brightly. Wang Lin sat cross-legged on the ground, his injuries too severe to heal. The pain in his chest was relentless, causing his face to turn even paler. But with the continuous battles around him, there was no time for him to recover. He could only swallow large quantities of pills to forcibly suppress the pain. In the distance, Tian Yunzi, who was also meditating, suddenly opened his eyes wide and fixed his gaze on Wang Lin. He raised his right hand and pointed to the sky. Immediately, a roar erupted from the black and white chaos 100 miles away. From within the swirling chaos, a headless figure emerged. This headless figure was strong, holding a red spear in its right hand. The entire presence exuded a murderous aura. At the moment of its appearance, thick black mist surged from its body, swiftly wrapping around it, forming into a set of black armor. Without a sound, the headless figure charged forward towards Wang Lin. The distance between them was already short, and in an instant, the figure closed the gap. A gust of black wind hit Wang Lin's face as the spear stabbed toward him. At this moment, Wang Lin was already at the end of his strength, but even so, attempting to kill him was no simple task. In a life-threatening moment, Wang Lin's eyes turned cold. His right eye flickered with a green light, and the green light shield instantly materialized, blocking the attack. With a loud bang, the red spear collided with the green light shield. Although the shield already had cracks in it, it didn't shatter but was pushed back a few inches. The headless figure stumbled back 3 steps, its black armor shimmering with dark light, before charging forward again. Seizing the opportunity while the figure was retreating, Wang Lin opened his mouth and spat something out. It was the seal of the 18 Hells. Without hesitation, Wang Lin's right hand grabbed at the air, and a crystal light immediately appeared on his palm. He swung it fiercely, and the crystal light, like countless stars, spread out in front of him. In that instant, Wang Lin shouted, "Scatter beans to form soldiers." As soon as the words were spoken, the crystal light exploded with blinding brilliance. From the seal of the 18 Hells, piercing, mournful cries rang out as souls trapped in the seal, unable to enter reincarnation, struggled and surged out, merging into the crystal light. They instantly gained substance and emitted waves of ominous energy. What was even more terrifying was that from the 18th layer of the seal of the 18 Hells, the soul of Tian Yunzi's split soul emerged. His eyes were filled with frenzied red light as he let out a beast-like roar and charged straight at the headless figure. This divine ability already defied the will of heaven, seemingly with the intention of acting in heaven's stead. As Tian Yunzi's soul burst forth, the murderous aura surged like a storm. The headless figure seemed insignificant in comparison. Tian Yunzi, who had died with immense resentment, was in the first decay of heaven and man and had already reached the perfect shattered nirvana stage in his cultivation. His soul strength was truly astonishing. He clashed with the headless figure in an instant, and with the help of countless souls, they quickly reversed the situation. However, the cost for Wang Lin was also heavy. The immortal art of a mortal emperor by Fan, especially the scatter beans to form soldiers technique, consumed most of Wang Lin's remaining immortal power. If it weren't for the replenishment of Mystic Treasure Elder's primordial spirit, Wang Lin's immortal power would likely have been depleted by now. Even with the replenishment, Wang Lin's immortal power was running low, and if he didn't find another immortal's primordial spirit soon, Bai Fan's divine abilities might no longer be usable. He might only be able to use wind summoning, but its power would be far weaker than when driven by immortal power. Far in the distance, Tian Yunzi's brows furrowed. He hadn't expected that even now, Wang Lin still had more tricks up his sleeve. His eyes turned cold as he formed a hand seal and pointed to the sky again. This time, the surrounding black and white chaos surged even more violently. Suddenly, a massive serpent head shot out from the chaos like lightning. The serpent head had horns, its scales pitch black, and it bore sinister markings, exuding a fierce and menacing aura. Its cold eyes locked onto Wang Lin, and with a roar, it charged straight at him. But the appearance of the black serpent was not the only threat. From the chaos, another figure emerged, a black Qilin, its body rotting in large parts, releasing a nauseating, decaying stench. However, its eyes glowed with black light, and it charged toward Wang Lin with a roar. Following the Qilin, 5 more headless figures emerged from the chaos, as if the chaos itself was home to countless life forms, both eternal and endless. These 5 headless figures immediately surrounded Tian Yunzi's soul, continuously attacking. Wang Lin's gaze flickered. He was about to summon Tian Yunzi's split soul from the 18 hells, but then he suddenly had a realization. He turned his eyes toward Tian Yunzi in the distance and gave a cold smile. Tian Yunzi had been using his divine abilities to summon these creatures from the chaos, seemingly with the goal of forcing Wang Lin to release his 2 split souls. Whether his guess was right or not, Wang Lin felt uneasy about releasing his split souls in front of Tian Yunzi's true body. As the black python approached with the speed of a lightning strike, a pungent wind spread, filling the air. Wang Lin simply closed his eyes, and the armor on his body immediately emitted a deep crimson radiance. In an instant, the white vermilion bird sprang to life, bursting forth from the armor and charging straight toward the black python. The sounds of hissing from the serpent and the cry of the vermilion bird echoed in unison. Tian Yunzi's eyes flickered, and a faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He had been waiting for this moment. Besides the souls of the 2 avatars, it was the vermilion bird. The moment it appeared, Tian Yunzi sprang to his feet and took a step forward. In that single step, he suddenly appeared in front of Wang Lin. Ignoring Wang Lin entirely, he raised his right hand and reached out violently toward the white vermilion bird. I am Tian Yunzi of the 4 destiny spirits, only missing the vermilion bird spirit. If I can acquire it today, it will be a great joy. The white vermilion bird screeched, its flames raging, but Tian Yunzi's large hand pierced through the fire, directly reaching for the bird. The black python, battling with the vermilion bird, shifted its body, dodging the bird and charging toward Wang Lin once more. Its enormous jaws gaped, about to swallow Wang Lin whole. In this critical moment, though Wang Lin's face was pale, his eyes showed no sign of fear. A whirlpool immediately appeared on his forehead, and his withered primordial spirit reached out from the whirlpool. The moment the primordial spirit of the primordial thunder dragon emerged, it let out a powerful roar. Roar. With this roar, Wang Lin's primordial spirit weakened even further. However, as his primordial spirit roared, it immediately devoured the approaching serpent, which shrieked in agony. Electric arcs spread across the black python's body, and its eyes filled with terror. It abandoned its attempt to swallow Wang Lin and began to retreat. At that very moment, the chaotic region 100 miles away from Wang Lin suddenly began to roll violently. Thunder rumbled from afar. Even Tian Yunzi was momentarily stunned by this sight. As the thunderclaps echoed, thunderbolts surged forth, shattering all obstacles in their path, and streaked toward the black python. It wasn't just one bolt, but countless bolts of thunder, which pierced the air and surrounded the black python, even enveloping Tian Yunzi himself. Under the deafening thunder, the black python let out a final scream as its body exploded. Tian Yunzi's eyes gleamed with murderous intent. He hadn't expected that Wang Lin still possessed such divine abilities at this stage. His right hand did not falter, grabbing hold of the white vermilion bird. At the same time, Tian Yunzi's body shifted, and his left hand struck out toward Wang Lin with a powerful slap. Nobody will save you. From a distance, the 6 elders of the vermilion bird sacred sect roared in anger, trying to come to the rescue. But with the strength of the ancient demon Tagia, even their combined attack was insufficient. Even with the fire giants added to the mix, they were steadily pushed back, and 3 of the elders had already spat blood, their faces pale from severe injuries. The distance was not great, but the task of saving him seemed nearly impossible. This slap was Tian Yunzi's killing blow. As it fell, Wang Lin's right eye flickered, and the cyan light shield materialized once again. However, as soon as it made contact, it shattered with a loud bang, splitting in two and returning to Wang Lin's right eye. Taking advantage of the brief resistance from the cyan light shield, Wang Lin reached out with his right hand. Despite the excruciating pain, he could not afford to think about his injuries. A crack appeared ahead, and the god-slaying spear materialized in his hand as he thrust it forward, slamming into Tian Yunzi's palm. With a thunderous roar, the god-slaying spear trembled and disintegrated into tiny crystalline sparks. It wasn't that the spear was weak, but because it was a projection of Wang Lin's primordial spirit, and his physical body was too heavily wounded to unleash its full power. Under Tian Yunzi's palm, it vanished. Tian Yunzi's right hand went numb, his eyes filled with even more killing intent. Only today did he truly realize how difficult it was to kill Wang Lin. But now, he had made up his mind. He would kill him. Though the god-slaying spear had dissipated, it had bought Wang Lin a split second. His eyes blazed with madness as he roared. "If you want to kill me, you will pay the price." As his roar echoed, Wang Lin's third eye on his forehead suddenly appeared and opened, directed at Tian Yunzi. The 2 former teacher and student, today, for the second time since the Tianyan Star, would engage in a life-or-death battle. One sought to kill, the other to resist, locked in a fierce struggle of water and fire. The instant Wang Lin's third eye opened, a red glow burst forth, and his remaining primordial power flared up, surging toward Tian Yunzi's palm and enveloping his entire body. Even Tian Yunzi, despite his immense strength, shuddered at the sight. He could not help but exclaim, "Primordial power!" His body quickly began to disintegrate within this power, and behind him, 1,000 avatars appeared, all seemingly struggling, letting out furious roars. It was as though a delicate balance had been shattered in this moment by the power of the primordial force. At the moment when Tian Yunzi's body froze, one of the heavily injured elders from the vermilion bird sacred sect's 6 elders revealed a determined madness in his eyes. Their mission was to protect Wang Lin, but now, with Wang Lin facing life and death, if he were to perish in front of them, it would be as if they had destroyed the very hope of the vermilion bird sacred sect. Those who are not from the vermilion bird sacred sect can never understand the sorrow and unwillingness accumulated over countless millennia. At this moment, the elder let out a tragic smile, and suddenly, a figure emerged beside him. His eyes shone with madness, and his primordial spirit was immediately detonated within his body. A shattered nirvana cultivator's self-detonation. This self-detonation was enough to shake the heavens and earth, unleashing devastating power. The elder, willing to sacrifice everything, even his name, which Wang Lin didn't even know, chose destruction for the hope of the vermilion bird sacred sect. The deafening roar erupted as the elder's body was torn apart. His primordial spirit formed an unimaginable shockwave that swept across everything. Tian Yunzi's eyes gleamed as he raised his right hand to his forehead, and 3 distinct marks immediately appeared on his brow. With Tian Yunzi's grasp, one of the marks was violently torn open. In that instant, Tian Yunzi's cultivation surged dramatically, and his overwhelming aura formed a storm that not only blocked Wang Lin's third eye's essence, but also forcibly repelled the shockwave from the shattered Nirvana cultivator's self-detonation. Taking advantage of the explosion, Wang Lin quickly retreated, finally creating distance between himself and Tian Yunzi. Tian Yunzi's silver hair fluttered as his aged face rejuvenated, becoming that of a middle-aged man around 50. However, the power emanating from his body made everyone nearby gasp in awe. Even the ancient demon Tajia's eyes narrowed. The first seal that I've just broken has been sealed for nearly 20,000 years. Wang Lin, you've allowed me to break the first seal and unleash the full power of the first heavenly decay. For that, I do not regret taking you as my disciple. At this very moment, outside the land of demonic spirits, in the starry sky beyond the dust, over 10,000 cultivators could be seen charging forward. Leading them was an elder in a white robe, his whole being radiating an aura of immortality, exuding the elegance of a true immortal. Behind him, nearly 100 immortals followed. They were the remnants of the Rain Immortal world, and this elder, second only to Qing Shuang in the Rain Immortal world, was also the first among the elders of the Alliance Elder Council under Zhong Xuanzi. At the same time, in another direction, an illusory figure walked through the starry sky. Though his steps seemed slow, his true speed was unfathomable, with each step covering endless distance. This was none other than the vermilion bird's sacred emperor's primordial spirit. 2 others also made their way toward the starry sky where the land of demonic spirits was located. These 2 were the elder from the Kungsu realm and Mu Bingmei,